Yeah, we were excited to actually have the Hoffman family come to our church about a year and a half ago, and shortly after that, we had Brandon, who is CEO, president of Project Belong, get up and share with our congregation about adoption ministry, and not only for adoption, but also I think he shared a little bit about foster families as well, and so the whole congregation got that experience with Brandon, and since that time, I think it has really promoted a real interest, and also just from a biblical standpoint, the importance of Christian families to consider the possibility of being foster parents or adoptive parents as well. Brandon's message was challenging, but at the same time it was very informative. And I believe there was a video that he showed us, and so that was very helpful to understand the need that's right here in Kansas of how many kids really need families right now. And so I think that was an eye-opener for all of us, and because of that, I think, again, it just created more of an interest, and perhaps even more than that, just a concern from people about the particular problem that's out there, and maybe how Christian families can really come alongside and through Project Belong find out what they can do as God leads them and directs them in that in what He might want them to do. I think, from a Christian perspective and also from a lot of churches, there's just a comfort level when you're dealing with a ministry that is really Christian-based or Bible-based, because that way you feel more comfortable referring people, and they're not going to get into a situation where perhaps some of their values or some of their beliefs might be compromised in some way, or they would be expected to compromise them. And so there is that comfort level, and there is that common bond that we have as Christians that makes all the difference. I really see this as being very interdenominational, and I would just encourage any pastor of any church that if you get an opportunity to kind of pursue what Project Belong is all about, that I think that you would also find that comfort level that I just spoke about. So yeah, it's not just, even though we happen to be a Baptist church, I would encourage any denominational church to pursue and to find out more about Project Belong and how they can promote the same kind of interest and spirit within your own church. Well, I think sometimes, that as a church we get busy with lots of activities and lots of ministries, and they're all important for a typical church, but sometimes, the verse of James 1:27 just reminds us, that God's heart is really about the orphans and the widows and all those ministries sometimes that kind of gets put on the back shelf from time to time, that we're not always thinking about orphans. And so therefore that verse and the concern that we should have and the information we need to have as a church and as Christian families is very, very important. And so I think, again, that Project Belong really helped to elevate that awareness and again, that concern that we might be biblical in our thinking and making sure that we are also concerned about the welfare of the orphan. Well, I think, again, what's been exciting for our church is the fact that, well, it may have been, the process was starting maybe a little before Brandon and Missy came and presented, but since that time there's been one family in our church that is adopted internationally, and that child is now in our church. That child is from Ethiopia, and our church family is so excited about having Ty with us and with his adoptive family. And even though that's international, it's also been very helpful to have Brandon here, his expertise in sharing with me as a pastor, but I think also with the Hildebrand family, encouraging them as they did that process of adopting an Ethiopian little boy. And so that's been exciting for our church. And also there have been two other individuals from our church who have decided to pursue this and take the classes and so forth necessary. And one of those particular adoptions is ongoing right now. So again, that's exciting for our church that's actually happening. So it wasn't just the presentation, but from the presentation that there have been people in our church that have responded to that and really have opened up their hearts and their homes to some of these kids that need to be adopted. So That's exciting. The other thing is we're planning to have an adoption party or celebration for these two young boys that I just mentioned in our church, hopefully this month. And so it's a way for all of us as a church to just celebrate what's happened and how God has worked in these families and brought these two young boys. And so hopefully as a church too, we can gather around these boys and help their parents to raise them and to teach them biblical values and encourage them as well to follow Jesus in their own personal lives. So you put all that together, and it's very exciting to see what God has done even in the last year and a half since Project Belong came and made their first presentation to us. I also want to encourage you, Brandon and Missy are great Christian people. They love the Lord, but besides that, they're good people. They're easy to work with. They're not pushy. So again, they'll do whatever your church is open to doing. And again, if you can just be willing to open a door, I think God would really bless you and bless the message that comes to your congregation.